Okay, to access the header area, there's a couple different methods here. Of course, we can use the menu path and go to header and any of our options here. You'll see it's an easy way. Likewise, I can go to the display document header details button here, or I can just double click on anywhere in the header area here and drill down and go to the header area. What this will do is take me to the very first tab in the sales order header area. And then you're going to see many tabs here. Each of these is breaking out the total header data for us into chunks that kind of go together, groups of header data that really kind of goes together. So, using the menu, I could have gone to the header and let me go back here, go to header and gone straight to the area that I want to go to. Just by going to the button or double clicking though, you can go in and then drill down and click on the tab that you want. So what I thought we'd do here is just kind of walk through each tab, talk about it a little bit, and then also talk how it relates to the header, as well as point out some fields that will be real common in our data analysis that we're going to use. So, okay, so this first tab, sales, we're in the sales order header data and really focusing on data that pertains to the sale itself. You'll find all kinds of data relating to billing, accounting, shipping, but they've grouped this starting off with the sale itself. So we're going to have things like the order type, which is a configuration piece, and this is going to control a lot of the features in the order. It's going to be very common for us in our data analysis, so I really want to point this one out. We'll probably analyze order types or groups of order types. Likewise, the sales area is another big one for order analysis. And often what we'll do is, a business might have many sales areas, so we might focus in on a particular sales area, or look at a group of sales areas and how it might be impacted by some changes. Okay, the document date or the create date is another big one. You can see here's the document date here and create date down here. And dates are big in analysis because what it lets us go in and do is scope or frame a range around the orders that we're going to analyze, because your system might have millions of sales documents in there. So you can imagine the amount of work it's going to take to get a meaningful analysis. So that'll really let us help kind of bring down the scope of what we're going to look at. Of course, then too, created by, if you want to look at specific users, groups of users, who created these documents. Let me point out here things like the currency, the exchange rate, the pricing procedure is another big one. It's stored in the sales document header. And then we've got other types of things like the customer group and various other data on here that we'll use. All of it is really important. It's just what you're looking at. And I'd really like to focus on the ones that are very common. On the shipping tab, so again, here we're talking about the sales document, but maybe data that's going to flow into the delivery, or it's going to be important for the delivery process. So right off, you see something like the ship to party, where this order is going, the shipping condition, which might feed into how we're going to ship this thing, and it's got a lot of control parameters. That's another big one. The delivery block is another one if it were activated here on this order. It's another big piece that we use for analysis. Okay. The billing document tab, now we're talking about data that's going to go into a sales document that's going to end up either being billed itself or the delivery of the sales document being billed. So we're going to see things here that are very important, like the payer on it, the Incoterms and the terms of payment. Those are two big ones for analysis. The proposed billing date has some control features, and the company code is another good one. Payment cards, this would be data that you might enter for similar like credit cards or other types of cards that are authorized for payment. It can be helpful for analysis, especially, one area that I've focused on here is when you have issues going on with your payment card system. This can be quite helpful. Accounting, okay, so this is talking about eventually the billing document is going to be automatically fed into the accounting system, and it's going to post somewhere. So we're going to have one or more postings out of all this, and we're going to have some things like the account assignment group, okay, which is going to be a key field that we'll use in the account assignment and is very often used in going into data analysis. Conditions, we're going to talk more about this at the item level. Let me just say for now, though, this is pricing. And pricing is very heavy in analysis and very, very heavy in data analysis. So we'll definitely do a lot in this area. Hold tight on this one. When you think of pricing, it's really at the item level here in SAP. We've got a few manual conditions that we can enter at the header level. And then what you normally see at the header is a summary of what's occurred at the item level. So there's some relevance here at the header, but once we go through the item on this one, it's going to mean a lot more. Okay, account assignment, now we're getting into more of the FI terms, and you see things like the business area. I do want to point that out. It's very common to do analysis on the business area. Partners, we're going to talk more about partners at the item level, but what these are the default header partners brought into the order. They kind of flow into the order from the customer itself and other areas. So, you know, you think of a sales order as, and it's going to a customer, but that customer may be complex. It may have one or more different ship tos, you know, so it's going to have payers, bill tos, and then various other ones too. In this case, we've got a sales employee and other employee responsible, but you can see here's a list of all kinds of partners that may get assigned to an order. We'll talk more about this a little bit at the item level. Okay, next we have text, and these are going to be all the free form entries that we can put into a sales document. So they may have come in through the customer or other areas, but once you're in the order, you can see you got 1, 2, 3, 4 header notes, and basically all these are different notes that we can add free-form text. So you can type it in, okay, or you could upload, you can cut and paste in here. So you can see that because it's not a single field or fields, data analysis on text can be quite challenging, but it can be helpful too if there's special requirements too. And we'll look at this coming up here in a while about how to do data analysis on text. Order data. When we talk about order data, we're talking about kind of purchase order or customer related data that they want to store with along their sales document here. So we've got here in this case sold to party and ship to party. This would just let us differentiate a purchase order from the ship to and the sold to. But a lot of this turns into kind of free form fields where we can store extra information for the customer. Okay, status. This is another pretty good one for analysis because you're going to have a basic status for all of your items we'll talk about, and then you're going to have a status for the header, and then you're going to have your overall status. So what you can do is use different combinations and do different data analysis on orders and their statuses, especially if you're getting into issues with orders getting stuck in the system from some system check or custom check, or possibly orders taking too long to get through the system. Status analysis can come in and be quite common. Okay. Next, let's talk about the additional data A and additional data B. Okay, these are two common ones for customizing the system. Now, additional data A, we've got 2 sets of 5 fields each, which we can define for whatever we need. So it's going to be different at each system, but if these are configured and enabled, it's a great analysis tool because you can come in here and see if they're using these fields heavily. It's a great way to look at analysis in a specific customer environment and find out what's different about how they're using these. Again, additional data B. Now what this is, you can see here we have a blank screen and what this lets you do is go in and set up complete custom fields, functionality, whatever you want to do SAP's enabled it on this screen. So, rarely you'll see this completely blank. Often in a system, you might have a few fields. Other systems, you might see pages and pages of fields and work areas and drop downs, and really enjoy this one here. So if they're heavily using it, it's a great place to come and do analysis because it's going to show you a lot of what they're trying to do with the sales order outside of the standard process. And it just turns out to be a really interesting area for most consultants doing analysis. Okay. So these last couple we're going to skip over. They're not as common, although I'm not saying they're not important. They're just not quite as common for analysis. And we might take a look at these later as time permits. Okay. So we'll just green back to our overview here, and that generally runs us through all the header data.